All right, welcome. So here I'm going to show you a little bit about XYZ if you haven't already played around in there. So you should have received an email from XYZ stating that you have an account and your username is your BMCC email address and your password is the word password, all lowercase. So you can go to xyzhomework.com, is where you do most of your work. They also have other sites, XYZtextbooks.com, and you can log in there. There's an instructor portal with all kinds of test banks and solutions manuals and other things you have access to, and mathtv.com. Lost it. You can log in there, and you have access to all kinds of videos and other textbook stuff there too. But mostly you work in XYZhomework.com. So logging in, you'll enter your email address. It's probably your first initial last name, and then your password, and you can log in. If there's something wrong with your login, you can let them know, or contact me also. This will list any courses that you have. You'll probably have at least one course in there already. So for example, this is for Math 25, so you'll probably have a basic math with early integers course shell. What we're going to do is create a new course for you right now. Catherine Palmer is the lead on that course, and so she adapted those materials to fit what we do at BMCC. So you're going to click on the admin page. Yours will look different than mine, but you'll be able to add a new course. You'll see any courses you currently have, which is probably just one at the moment. I'm going to add a new one. You got to give it a name. So usually I like to give it a pretty specific name, like MTH pre-algebra. 2014. If I have multiple sections and I could dump all my students in one section, or I could have different sections for each here. So maybe I'm going to have a 12 o'clock one. The start end time here is default time for items. That's not a big deal. Late passes, it's not a big deal here either. We can change that later. But late passes, if you have due dates on assignments, but sometimes students need an extra day for something, you can give them ahead of time 1, 2, 3, however many late passes you want, and then they can say, well, my assignment's due tonight. I'm not going to get it done. I'm going to apply one of my late passes so I can get an extra day on it. So they don't have to bother you about it, they just do it. And so I really like that feature. And for each assignment, whether it's a test or a homework or a quiz, whatever, you can choose to allow students to use late passes on that assignment or not, which is pretty neat. We're going to start with a blank course here and submit. Alright, so then we get a course ID, which we'll see again later. That's what students will need to log into the course that we create. Enter the course. Now right now it's just a blank course, there's really nothing in it. Here's the admin panel on the left here. And what we want to do next is copy Catherine's course. So we're going to go to copy. And Catherine's in our group, so we'll go to My Group's Courses and look for Catherine Palmer. There's Catherine. And Catherine has basic math with early integers, so this right here is her master course for all of us. And so we will click to choose that, and then select course items. Now we have two choices here. We can copy the whole course, or we could just grab pieces of it. If we go for selected items, then we can see all the things Catherine created that can be worth a grade, that students can interact with. And we can choose which ones we want. And I'll review that again later. But for now, we want to just copy the whole course. Copy offline grade items. I don't believe there are any at this point, but maybe we'll check that just in case. So the offline grade items are things like you give a paper quiz in class, but you want to record the grade in this grade book here so students can see all the grades in one spot. And I'm pretty sure she doesn't have anything there yet, so that's irrelevant. All right, so then we get the course shell that she created. So notice she has a syllabus as item number 1 in the list here. Calendar comes with the course. That will show due dates for things, when things appear active for students. 4 weeks is the default. You can show more just by switching, and students have that same option. So here you can see she has blocks of items due in particular spots. If we click on any one of those, at the bottom of the calendar, it will show us what's due or any messages or what appears that particular day. We clicked on October 6th. Here it is November 18th, and we can see that. I like to use the calendar to put messages for students, and I can do that with events. So for example, I could create a new event there. And let's see, on the 18th, I want to switch to maybe the first day of class, September 29th. And I could put a welcome message there, perhaps. Or welcome to pre-algebra, and then I can add that to the calendar. Other things I'll use this for is to announce what I'm doing on any particular day. So, for example, maybe on the 30th, I'm going to be going over section 2, say. Back here, and then I'll see on those days I have this welcome message which appears in the little box here. Usually the students only see 4 weeks at a time, but we'll see whatever I clicked on section 1, 2, I can have a message in there. So I'll use the calendar to say what section I'm covering each day, because that doesn't necessarily correspond to the due dates they see in the calendar, so they can see what I'm going to cover and what I'm going to do. And you can use the events to do that in this calendar, which is kind of nice. She also has a course schedule here for you that you can click on, and that's there for the students of how she plans to cover this course 4 days a week in a 10-week course. So you can use Catherine's schedule if you wish. Let's go back. She also has a printable syllabus in there for you to use as a model. You can check that out. Proficiency exams, graded on, chapter exams, and assignments. Alright, so other things you're going to find useful here. If you want to add anything new to the course that's not already there, that's what this top menu is for here. So for example, you could add a link to something, maybe a practice test that you wrote. You could add just a text message to students. Do that just for fun. Message. There, math students, capitalizing things. Just for fun, and then you could also attach a file to it. There's a whole bunch of other options. Here I have it showing by date. It's going to appear on 9/11, and it's going to display until 9/18. You could have it displayed for always. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I'll put things in there for me, in which case I'll have them hidden so that only I can see them. It's kind of nice. And this says put it on the calendar or not. And here the default is no. You play around with those options, and then it puts it in there. Now maybe the sample message you actually want down after chapter 2. Chapter 2 is item 11, so we want it to be item number 12. So we can move things around by using these numbered items. And that'll just move things to a different spot here. And there we have my sample message. When I point to something, it gives me options like modified unique copy. And anything you point to will give you different options. So for example, let's find section stuff here. There we go. Here, the 4.1 link right here takes me to homework I can do as a student. Here's the list of problems students have to work with. Back. Right there. The bigger link here takes me to a video that comes from the publisher.
Working out with decimal numbers.
And we have the author of the book. Sometimes it's a student tutor giving the lecture. Otherwise, I have these special links like questions. That takes me to the questions that were chosen and details about that. And I could use the test bank section here to add questions. I can remove questions also. If I want to see what the questions look like, I can go here and see the question, and then I can see some metadata about the question. Who created it, when, what chapter and section it goes with. So this, for example, is chapter 4, section 1, problem number 1 in the book. Now, it's not going to be exactly problem number 1. The numbers might be slightly different, but it'll be pretty darn similar. And then you can scroll through the homework assignment. Okay, I'll go over later how to edit with the test bank. I just want to introduce you to using the course. Whenever you're in a XYZ homework, you have these breadcrumbs here, so you can use them to move around. Alright, other way to move things around is to quick rearrange. That shows everything here, so if you decide you want to change the order of two things, you just grab them and move them. And then when you're done, you save the changes. If you want to see what students see, you can change the view from instructor to student. And things look a little different. They have less administrative stuff on the side. And they point to a particular chapter. Let's see how things aren't visible for them because the course hasn't started yet. Once the course starts, they will be visible. So, for example, let's see. Oh, I'm the student view. I need to switch to instructor view. So anything that's in gray here is when it'll appear. Double check. Yeah, so that's when they'll be able to see that stuff. If you want to change any due dates or appearance dates in the calendar, you can do that on an individual basis. So for example, I could go and play with the settings for section 07. And I can have, right now it appears on 9/29, and it will be due by October 6th. And let's see, it'll be available as review for the duration of the course, which is kind of nice. You can change things individually there, or if you go back to the course, under mass change, you can change the dates of things in a group. Alright, so let's see. So for example, chapter 1, she has appearing on 9/30, 10/1, 10/2, and then she decided to have section 1/6. It fit better later in the course. And they are all due on 10/6, 10/6, 10/6, 10/6. You can change a date, like for example, I could go here and say, I actually want this to be due on the 7th. And then I can click these check boxes on the side to group them together, and then I can take the action to copy down that end time so that each of the things I checked are now due on that date. Another cool thing is, in addition to copy down, you have the send down option, and what that does is, if I like the way I have things structured here, I can just change the first date from maybe 9/29 to January 5th for winter term, and I can hit action send down, and that will update everything that much farther into the future. So I can just pick up a whole course and replace it in another position in time, and everything will be spaced out the same way, which is really cool. So let's see, what else do I want to show you. Up at the top, we have a place for messages that you can write to students and students can write to you. And messages are like email, they're individual. Forums are a place where she has a single forum here for the whole course where students can post things and students can respond to each other and you can respond to them. or you can write things here and they can respond to you. Roster, once students start enrolling based on your course number, you'll see them in here. Calendar is just the same calendar we saw earlier. And gradebook is where you can go and see grades and play around there. Gradebook settings is a good place to go because that's where you control the percent that each thing is worth. So for example, she has online homework is 10% of your grade, one proficiency exam on integers is 10%, proficiency on fractions is 10%, and so on. So you can make a weighted grade book, which I do for most courses, and totally up to you. Once you change any of the percentages here for the grade book, then you just hit Save Changes, and the gradebook, that will be reflected in the student's grades in the gradebook here. Alright, back to the course. Anything else? Oh yes, suppose you already started playing in this, or you have two versions of a course and you did something different in one course than the other. You can use the copy items to grab something from one of your other courses. So for example, I have another basic math in addition to this Math 25. So perhaps I am going to select that one and then select the course. And then I don't want the whole course. I just want to grab, for example, maybe this particular section I did something really cool in there with the assignment, and I want to copy it over. So I can adjust whatever things I want to here, and I can add it either to the main page, or I can say, let's put that in chapter 5, and I can copy it in. So you can move things from one course to another, which is kind of nice. And even if a colleague did something you really like, you can copy their stuff one piece at a time, if you wish. Everything is copyable. Let's see. I think that's good enough for now. So I just encourage you to get in here, make a copy of Catherine's course, play around with it, check out the assignments. You do some of them just to see what they look like. Try the questions, jump in, check out the videos or the ebook. The ebook is also available from mathtv.com or xyztextbooks.com. So I'm going to link to that ebook here. And this one is pretty nice. It blows up quite well. It shrinks down. Alright, so get in touch with me, Gary Parker, or Catherine Palmer if you have any questions. You can set up a webinar or try to come visit you in your campus to help you out. Hope this helps you get started.